Good morning, guys, or good afternoon, whether you're joining me from the present or the future. Welcome back to another one of my FutureFight Vanguard series. So first of all, I wanted to say that I'm sorry to you guys for not giving you a video on Sunday, and also I started like sometimes doing videos on Monday. So I was gonna do a video for both of those days, but three things. One, my computer has been moving like extremely slow lately. Like ever since I took it to Philadelphia and came back, like it's been making like a rattling noise. So I don't know if it slammed up against something while I was in my bags traveling or something happened to it, but I'm gonna take it to the store soon to get it checked out. Um, and so we hope that this video comes out okay. Number two, on Sunday I was actually unexpectedly busy with a whole lot of like work-related stuff, and then like trying to talk to some people about like sponsorships and stuff like that. So I was busy the entire day, so I didn't have time to record a video. And then Monday, I actually did a podcast with Team Sunshine, also known as Sunshine Arena, on YouTube. They're pretty cool people, so be sure to check them out. I did a discussion with them about the BT12 meta. So if you're interested to know my thoughts on that, like be sure to go check out their video. Um, and yeah, with that being said, I think I'm going to record three videos tonight to make up for Sunday and Monday, but also today's video that I was supposed to be giving you guys. So yeah, let's get started. And we're getting started with the Bermuda GB8 deck. So first off, let's flip our strides as usual. So like my computer's like lagging a little bit, so hopefully this goes well, because like my computer really never lags during this part. So and I guess I should have been more proactive about it and gotten the rattling in my computer checked out beforehand, because it was rattling a little after I came back from Philly, but everything on my computer was working fine, so I said, you know, just forget it. But as I've noticed, like the more and more it rattles, like almost like pieces are loose inside of my computer, but the more and more it rattles, like the more slow my computer gets and problems start happening. So yeah. But starting with our grade 3s, we decided to run the Lauris Harmony deck for the GB8 for Bermudas. And so keep in mind, guys, that this is also like Fighters Collection 2017 limited. So we're doing a build that's from before the new Bermuda support set. So we're basically running like old Lauris. So we have 4 Miracle Voice Lauris. This is the old Lauris. It has 3 abilities. The first ability is Harmony, which is the Bermuda keyword. Harmony, for those of you who don't know, whenever a Harmony ability is on the field, when you place another unit in the same column as the Harmony unit, which is column is up and down. So when you place a unit in the same column, both units become Harmony or become in the Harmony state until the end of the turn. So that's what this deck focuses around, since Bermuda focuses a lot around like bouncing cards to hand and replaying them. This is actually like a perfect mechanic for them, because you're bouncing a lot of cards to your hand and then you're calling them back and making them Harmony and using their skills again. And most of them have effects when they're in Harmony. So Lauris has a Generation Break 2 ability that says when this unit becomes Harmony state, choose 2 of your units and they get plus 5,000 power, and this unit gets a critical until the end of the turn. So not only is this useful for when you are unable to stride, if you can bounce somehow, this is useful, really useful with Vita or Pumo that we run, because Vita allows you to play a card from your hand during the main phase, and then Pumo allows you to play a card when you guard. So actually when you're guarding, or when you're on a defensive turn with Lauris, if you're able to make it Harmony, you can make Lauris 16k for the rest of the turn, which is really good against some decks. So then we have its on stride skill. Its on stride skill is Counter Blast 1. During your turn, when your G unit strides, you can choose one of your rear guards, bounce it to your hand, and then if you do, you draw a card. So pretty good ability. Allows you to get off Bermuda skills, but also lets you draw a card for it. Then we have 3 Little Princess Himari as our backup grade 3. We only run 3 because we don't want to ride her mainly. She's just mainly a good rear guard. So she has a Harmony ability. or she has the Harmony ability, and then she also has a secondary ability. So the secondary ability is Generation Break 1. When this unit's attack hits a Vanguard, so it's an on-hit skill. So when this unit's attack hits a Vanguard, if this unit is in the Harmony state, you can counterblast 1. And then if you do choose one of your other rearguards, return it to your hand, and then you choose one card from your hand, call it to rearguard circle, and that unit gets plus 5,000 until the end of the turn. And then it says, even if you don't pay the cost, the ability cannot be used for the rest of that turn. So be aware that if you do hit with Himari, if you hit their Vanguard, and you choose not to activate the skill, let's say that you check like a stand trigger or something, or you find a way for it to bounce and recall, or the bounce and recall will count as a new unit being on the board, so that won't matter. But if we were to run stands in this build and we were to hit a stand trigger and then hit with Himari again, we could not activate it because we didn't do it the first time, and it's once per turn. So then we have for Spica. Spica is just like a lower version of Himari, in my opinion, except that it has its pluses, or it's things that make it like equal with Himari as well, because instead of having to hit, it's when it attacks, but you do have to have a boosting unit. So Himari doesn't have to have a boosted unit, but has to be in Harmony, and then Spica has to have a boosted unit and has to attack Vanguard. So they both have to attack Vanguard, so that's their pluses and minuses. But for what Spica does is when this unit attacks a Vanguard, if this unit is boosted, you can counterblast 1, and if you do, you choose one of your other rearguards, return it to your hand, then you choose one card from your hand, call it to rearguard, and that unit gets plus 3k power. So basically Spica gives 3k power, Himari gives 5k power. So Himari like always changes the guard state completely, and Spica sometimes changes the guard stage and sometimes doesn't. So it does reward you a little more for if you get Himari off than Spica, but either way, they both allow you multiple attacks during the turn, which is pretty good in this deck. And then we have 3 Magical Charge Vita. It has the Harmony ability, and then it also says that at the beginning of each turn's main phase, you can Soul Blast 1 and return this unit to your hand. So on the beginning of your main phase or your opponent's main phase, you can pay the cost, and then you choose up to 1 grade 1 or less card from your hand, call it to an open rearguard circle, and if you have a grade 4 or greater Vanguard, then you countercharge 1. So basically, if you use it on your opponent's turn, you're just using it to call a card, which you would most likely be doing to call behind Lauris to make Lauris Harmony. If you're doing it on your turn, you're doing it to countercharge, so you're pretty much just calling a card to countercharge. Then we have 3 Amelia. Amelia is really, really good because 1, it has resist, which means it can't be chosen by the effects of your opponent's cards. And then number 2, it has a Generation Break 1 ability that says whenever it's bounced to your hand from the rearguard circle, you can counterblast 1 and draw a card. So since there's a lot of bouncing effects in Bermuda, Amelia is a very strong card that can keep plussing you for using her ability. Then we have 2 Duo White Crystal Rika. So even though this is a duo card, it works in any Bermuda deck because its effect is generic. So even though it's an 8k, it is worth running in my opinion, at least in the old version of Lauris, because when this unit is bounced to your hand from rearguard circle, and for those of you who don't know, when I say the word bounce, I mean like return to hand from your field. So when this card's bounced, if you have a Bermuda Triangle Vanguard, you can Soul Charge 1 and you unflip a card in your damage zone. So this makes things like Spica and Himari free, while also giving you a Soul for Vita abilities and so on and so forth. Then we run 4 Shandi is the Stride Fodder, pretty self-explanatory. 4 Image Master Kukori is our Generation Break, or our Generation Perfect Guard, which allows us to unflip when we have another one in the drop zone when you Perfect Guard with it. Then we have 3 Extraordinary Freshman Shizuku, or in English, Superb New. Yeah, so Extraordinary Freshman Shizuku. So what Shizuku does is it has a Harmony ability that lets you that lets when this unit becomes in harmony, it lets you go for a look at top 5 to get a grade 3 to your hand. So that turns out to be like pretty freaking good, honestly, because you can go through your deck over and over and over again, like, because it's as many times as you make it harmonized or put it in harmony. So basically, like, let's say that you put it in harmony, you look at the top 5 cards of your deck for a grade 3, and then you don't get one. Well, you can bounce the Shizuku and call it again and put it in harmony, and then look at top 5 again for grade 3. So eventually you get all the grade 3s out of your deck, which is really good because you need Strive Fodder, and then you also have rear guard in the form of Himari. So then we run 3 Pumo for defensive purposes. What Pumo does is when it's placed on the guard circle, we can put 1 card from our hand onto the field on an open rear guard circle, and then this unit gets plus 5,000 shield. So when this card is guarding anything, basically, when this card's guarding for Vanguard, you can put Pumo down on the board, and then you can play another card in the same column as Lauris, and then it guards for the same amount as a G-Guard base, which is 15k. So that's very, very good to have a grade 1 that can do that. But yeah. And then it also makes us more defensive on turns like where we're against like Gear Chronicle, things that attack us for small numbers but attack us a bunch of times. So then we run 1 First Lesson Akari. It is a really, really good starter. It has 3 abilities. First one is Forerunner, meaning that it moves back out of the soul, or it can when you ride a grade 1. Then its second ability is the Harmony ability, and then its third ability is if it's in the Harmony state, it gets an activation skill, and that activation skill says put this unit to your soul and choose one of your other rear guards, return it to your hand, and draw a card. So I like to use Akari with when I first stride with Amelia, if I have an Amelia in my hand, or you can do it with a Rika. Just do it with something that gets a plus off of bouncing somehow, and then you draw a card off of it, so it's very, very good. So we run 8 crits in this deck. 4 Important Phrase Reina, which is the lore specific crit trigger. Then we run 4 Morning Impact Lips and 4 Heartful Yale Fundy, which is a draw trigger. So we run 4 draw triggers and 4 heals. Fundy is a Margot clone, meaning that you shove it into the soul and it gets plus 3,000 power to something. And then we run 4 Happy Rune Sandy, which is the heal trigger from the Fighters Collection. And basically just allows you to drop a card and draw a card when you go into the new Sandy, which is our new G-Guardian from the Fighters Collection. But yeah, going right into the strides, we run 4 Celebrate Voice Lauris. Very good like synergy with a Harmony deck. It has 2 abilities. The first one is the Harmony ability, and the second one is the Generation Break 2 ability that says Counterblast 1 and choose any face down card from your G zone and turn it face up. And then if you do, you get to choose the same number of your rear guards as the number of face up cards in your G zone and return them to your hand. And then till the end of the turn, this unit gets an ability, and the ability that's gained is in auto when this unit attacks a Vanguard. If all your units are in the Harmony state, then you can choose 3 of your units until the end of the turn. They get plus 5,000 power, and this unit gets plus 1 critical. So this card is a really good pressure card. Allows you to like bounce your entire board to your hand under most circumstances and reactivate all the Harmony effects as you call them back to the board. And then also when it attacks, it's going to give 5,000 power to 3 different units. And then it can get plus 1 critical. So it's really good for pressuring your opponent into difficult spots where they have to guard. Then we have 4 School Etoile Olivia. So we never really used Olivia in playtesting, but it's good to have as like a backup stride in case we do need to go into it. But what it does is when this unit attacks a Vanguard, if the number of face-up cards in our G-Zone is 1 or more, then we can choose up to 5 of our rear guards. And if the chosen rear guards all have different names, then we can return them to our hand. And if the number of cards returned is 3 or more, we choose 2 cards from our hand, call them to the rear guard circle in the front row and the back row, and then this unit gets plus 1 critical until the end of the battle. So a lot of the Bermuda cards get criticals when they're attacking and they're using their effects, but Olivia just allows you to bounce and call more for extra attacks. But most of the time, I just prefer Celebrate Voice Lauris because of its ability to bounce during main phase, and sometimes that affects a lot with like things like Shizuku's Harmony and whatnot. Then we run one of the famed GB8 herself, Festal Finale. Yeah, Festal Finale Final Priscilla. So what Final Priscilla does is at the end of the battle that this unit attacked a Vanguard, you can discard a card from your hand, and if you do, return all your rear guards to your hand, choose up to 5 cards from your hand, and call them to rear guard circle, and they get plus 5,000 power. So unfortunately, this card doesn't let you do this like before drive checks, because that would have been awesome. To be able to stack triggers on the units that are already getting 5k, but I guess they thought that that would be too powerful, so they made it at the end of the battle. So you would basically attack with one column, then the other column, then Final Priscilla, then discard a card, then bounce your whole board and call your whole board back. We do run one Flying Mermaid, Frederica, and it has 2 abilities. It has a Harmony ability and an on-hit ability. Its on-hit ability is when this unit hits a Vanguard, you can choose a card from your G-Zone and turn it face up. And if you do, you choose one of your rear guards in Harmony and return it to your hand. Then you choose one card from your hand, call it a rear guard circle, and then choose one of our rear guards, and until the end of the turn, it gets, if this unit's in a Harmony, this unit gets plus 5,000 power. So we are really only using this card to get us to instant GB2 to start using Lauris's effect more effectively. But it does have to hit, so if your opponent guards it, you won't be GB2. But if your opponent guards it, however, like, it's not really that big of a deal. Like, they just lose cards from their hand to guard an effect that wasn't really that important to you to begin with. So we do run one Breeze in case our opponent tries to stay on grade 2 against us. Then we have 2 Best Sparkle Sandy. What Best Sparkle Sandy does is it is their new G Guardian from the Fighters Collection, and it is pretty amazing in my opinion. When this unit is placed on the guard circle, you can choose a G Guardian from your G Zone and turn it face up. And if you do, this unit gets plus 5,000 power for every 2 cards in your hand until the end of the battle. So you count all the cards in your hand, and if you have like a big hand like 14 or something, then this G Guard will literally get 35,000 power, assuming that you have 14 cards in your hand. Then on top of that, you can counterblast 1, and if you do, this unit gets 5,000 more shield. So pretty much no passes most things, or puts it out of the range of attacking, so it's a very, very good big guard if you don't have a PG in your hand. Then we have 3 Hand-in-Hand Leona. What Hand-in-Hand Leona does is when it's placed on the guard circle, you can choose one of your rear guards and bounce it to your hand. If you do, you choose a card from your hand, call it to the guard circle, and if that unit has the same name as the card returned to your hand with the effect, then it gets plus 5,000 shield. So, which means, let's say that you do it on Akari, our starter. If you do it on Akari and you bounce it to the hand and you call an Akari, then Akari gets 5,000 shield, meaning plus 15k shield, which means that this unit can guard for, makes you 41 when you're on Lauris. So, very, very solid cards, but we're going to get right into the matches here. And so far my computer isn't lagging that much, but it's still lagging, so. Waiting for our Cardfight area to open here. It's taking its sweet time, I guess because my computer actually is lagging right after I said that it wasn't lagging. So that's kind of awkward. There it is. So it's loading up right now. Almost loaded. So it's white screening us so far. We might not be able to do the match portion of our future fight. Oh, wait. Aha, there it is. Okay. So we're gonna load our replay. Lauris GB8 1. Oh no. Oh snap, guys. I might have made a huge mistake. So I had to re-download my Cardfight area because it wasn't opening properly with my computer lagging before, and so I might have lost all the replays. No. Okay, guys. Well, I'll try to get you guys some replays. Wow, that's really awful that we lost all the replays, but yeah, I'll try to get you guys some replays, and I will be back momentarily. What's up, guys? After 5 to 7 days, we're back. I'm like kind of annoyed because when I was talking about previously my Cardfight area being re-downloaded, I lost all my decks, all my recordings, like everything that I had done for the next couple of days. So I had to take a couple days and record. So like instead of being a few days ahead, I'm like now behind because of that. And also because I had a huge tournament this weekend to go to as well, the Wasteland $500 tournament. But yeah, I will let you guys know definitely when the next $500 tournament is. But without further ado, let's get into those Lauris replays because we have a lot of work to do. We're probably going to be sitting here for like, I don't know, the next couple of hours just like pumping out all the videos over again. So we are playing against Kagero for our first replay. The Kagero player is going first. He looks like he's playing like a Legend deck kind of version of Kagero, which is kind of weird. This version's going really slow. Let's see if we can like do something about the speed. See here. And time skip. What's up, guys? So just a, I guess, update to what's going on. It's been about 2 weeks at this point from the previous clip you saw before this. Or I guess I did 3 different clips. So the beginning clip was the beginning, and then it was like 5 to 7 days after that I recorded the second clip, and then now is like the third clip that I'm doing. And now it's been like 2 weeks since the original clip. But seemingly I got everything fixed with my computer, guys, so I will be pumping out videos again. And I think I'll be sitting here pretty much like a good portion of the day trying to pump out some videos for you guys. So with that being said, I think we had to finish up the games for the Lauris GB8 deck. So let's do that right now. So as you guys can see, we're playing against Overlord Kagero. I fixed the speed issues. So we start off and we attack our opponent, we get a crit. He is running the stand trigger and this weird 8k grade 2, so kind of weird build to start off with, but we're just rolling with the punches here. He does check 2 the legends on damage check, and I thought that was his main card, so that was going to suck for him, but he does heal and get a stand trigger. So I just take his damage. I do stride with 2 cards. I use Lauris' skill to bounce Akari back, and then I use Akari's skill to bounce my Stride Fighter back. I make Harmony with Spica and Crick, or Kirk, however you say it. But then I attack him. I use Kirk's skill to bounce one and call one to the board. So I make Harmony with my Vanguard. I check 3, and then I use the skill of my Vanguard in Harmony to bounce a unit in Harmony, and then call a card, and I attack his rear guard, just for an extra attack, pretty much. He does use 2 cards to stride as well, which I was kind of happy about. And then I do bounce Vita using its skill to call behind Lauris. And I realized that I had to call a grade 1 or less, so I call the crit trigger. I do no guard his Vanguard though. And I take it, and then he destroys my rear guard. Then I stride into the Lauris GB2. I bounce 3 of my units, and I use Amelia's skill to counter boss 1 and draw 1. Then I make Harmony with Vita and Shandi, and then I just decide to attack him. Since I am in Harmony when I'm attacking, my Vanguard does have an extra critical, so he does PG that for fear of dying. Then I attack him with my rear guard. He does let a damage through, and then he root flares me, so I'm able to, use the main phase skill to get Vita out of harm's way. And he decides to root flare the crit trigger. So I do PG his attack here. And then I stride the next turn into Lauris again. I play down 5 cards. I use Lauris skill to bounce 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rika's skill to unflip Amelia's skill to draw a card. And then I make Harmony with Shizuku and get a grade 3. And then I make Harmony as well with Pumo. So I attack with 2 critical again. And as you guys can see, I'm really wearing him down with the 2 critical attacks. He does guard with Denial Griff in there, which we didn't really care about that Rika, so, it's all good. It's not really a big deal. But he decides to not stride here. I do use Vita's skill to make my Vanguard 16k, and then he does go search for a grade 3. He attacks us for 21, and we do G-Guard. With Nasha, we reveal a grade 3 for a 36, no pass. And then I told him I was 16k base. So we do go into the GB8 here. We play down all of our cards. We made Harmony with Shizuku, so I was searching for a grade 3 right there. We do attack for 17, and then 16, and then 32. And we do check a stand trigger, which is pretty much useless before the GB8, which is the only part that I hate about it, is that you can't apply triggers with any part of it. But, it is what it is. If he hadn't checked a crit, it would have been a lot stronger because of that crit right there. Would have been able to let me kind of attack multiple times. But I'm able to attack his rear guards and try to get some of the same guard pressure off of him. He does draw, and then he break rides into the legend. And he uses his hand to check top 5, which was kind of confusing for a second there. He does use the legend skill to counter boss 1 and drop a grade 3. I do use the main phase skill to get Vita out of the way. He does check a stand trigger. And then I PG his second attack, because the first attack he was attacking my rear guard. Finishing up here, we're going into Olivia. At least I think this is the finishing turn, if I'm not mistaken. He does have quite a lot of guard in his hand. So we attack him for 13, then we attack him for 15. He does G-Guard this one. And we do Olivia here, playing 2 units. And we use Rika and Amelia. And then we make Harmony with Shizuku, so we search for a grade 3. We did check a stand trigger, and then he takes that 5th damage right there, and he does stride, so that wasn't the ending turn at all. He goes into his GB8, which is a Blazing Burst Dragon. We do PG, and he checks a critical, a PG. I swear he's gotten a PG every turn, which kind of sucks for me, but, it is whatever. We do stride into Olivia one more time to try to make this work. We make Harmony. We check top 5 for a grade 3. We shuffle. We attack with Kirk. Kirk's skill, call, and then we attack for 9, and then 16. And then we attack with Olivia and bounce 3, call 2, check 5 for a grade 3. We do check a critical and a heal and a critical. So he does 6 damage heal, but that is nowhere near enough that he needs to survive. And yeah, that was that game in particular. I mean, I think that it was pretty interesting match, but like honestly, the Lauris GB8 deck just like it grinds too much for you to be doing something as simple as using Overlord, in my opinion. But we are loading up the second Lauris GB8 2 game, and it looks like we're playing against Zodiac Time Beast. It's always hard to say, like, when you see that starter, like, if it's the Demiurge Turbo, or if it's, like, Chrono Fang, or if it's Jet, but, like, ZTB Jet. It's kind of awkward, honestly, when you see that starter. But it seems like he is playing Chrono Fang here. He does check a heal and a critical, which pretty godlike in my opinion. Yeah, with all the stuff in the hurricane going on right now, my lights are like blinking on and off, so hopefully my power doesn't go out. That would be awful after we just got our computer fixed and able to do videos again. But yeah. Alright, so he's attacking us like relentlessly pretty much. While checking godlike at the same time. I think I was actually, I mean, it was a long time ago when I did this replay, because obviously I was getting my computer fixed all this time. But I think I was kind of upset during this, like, match, because, like, oh man, he was checking so many triggers, I think. We do attack with Lauris, just so that we can be in harmony, because anything else we would have played wouldn't have guaranteed us harmony, really, because we would have had to play stuff in the same column, and the things that we would play in the same column, we wanted to keep it. So we did attack him, and he 2'd past us, and then we did check the triggers required to pass the attack. So he goes into the new Chrono Tiger stride here, Chrono Tiger Gear Glare, which is actually a pretty interesting card, like, the more and more I read it. It's not bad at all. He does get 4 dry checks from it as well. So we were able to stride into Lauris again, called Double Rika, and then we use Lauris' skill to bounce. We use Rika's skill to countercharge 2. Then we use Akari's Harmony to bounce, and we get some added pressure off of Amelia, and etc. So we do attack for 15, bounce and call. Then we attack for 13. Then we attack for 31. He does PG. We check a heal trigger. Pretty good for us. Then we attack for 16. We're wearing his hand down little by little. His hands are not looking that great right now, but right here is where he actually demiurges. So he's using Demiurge right now to put 12 different Zodiac Time Beast cards from the bind zone to the drop zone, and then he is using the skill to put 12 cards back to his deck in any order. So he decides to call Ox, and then he goes for the 26 to our Vanguard, which here we were talking about, like, how I thought that Ox would only get 5k, but apparently it gets more, because right here it says that it's only a gear beast, but I guess, like, the creators of Cardfight area, like, left out some of the cards that are gear beast and Zodiac Time Beast too, because it just says gear beast on the card, so that's what I was going off of, and I had to, like, actually pull up a separate page on the wiki and look it up and see that it was in fact a Zodiac Time Beast. So yeah, I do G-Guard right here into Sandy, one of the best G-Guards in the freaking game, in my opinion. Like, it's so strong. But I know past him. I do G-Guard his other one with Nasha, and then I do PG his other rear guard, and I get to unflip one. I stride into Priscilla, and I decide not to use Lauris' on stride skill in attempts to kill him. So I do attack for 11. Unfortunately, he checks a draw trigger. Like, every single one of my opponents always checks a trigger, on that very last damage before it would allow me like all the attacks basically. We do check a crit and a Lauris. We bounce our entire hand and we call 4 cards and they get 5k, so we attack for 26. And then we attack for 26 again. He just intercepts with some cards. And he's using the GB2 skill to go into Mystery Freeze Dragon. So he does get the Mystery Freeze off for 0, 1, 2s. So we literally cannot guard with anything but G guards, pretty much. And then he decides to use the PG like after I G guard, which I don't know. I was pretty annoyed about, but it's whatever. Like, I just prefer people to do their skills with the right timing when I'm playing them. So, but he does check a draw, and then a heal trigger, which is pretty good for him actually. But we go into Olivia here. We play Shizuku, check top 5 for a grade 3. We do not get it, however, and then we Kirk Harmony. So thankfully this time he didn't get a freaking trigger. So we attack him with Spica, then we attack him with Kirk. We bounce call, and I wasn't even thinking about it, but like in doing Spica, I messed up the ability to use Olivia because I kind of forgot that it was counter boss 1. We do check triple stand here, however, and he still survives. So it was ridiculous. Like, his survivability was so much. But he goes into Chrono Tiger Gear Glare again, uses the skill of Ox to pump the Ox up to 32, and then we're able to use Pumo here, call Rika to the same column as Lauris, putting us in GB2 Harmony and giving plus 5k to 2 of our units. He does check his quadruple drive and not get that much off of it, so then we do guard him for 46. So we draw a stand trigger, and we decide to call all of the stand triggers in like a wild attempt to get some advantage off using a bunch of attacks. Unfortunately, they're very weak attacks, so you know, that is how it goes. But we do return and call, and then since he's able to just stride using the DB2, he's able to go into a secondary Demiurge pretty much for game. I just leave at that point because there's nothing I can do. I have a couple cards in my deck that are guaranteed stand triggers, and he survived everything I threw at him. So, you know, I was like, I put a Kazuma. I was like, my loss is guaranteed. Even though I usually don't do that, though. I was just very, like, I think annoyed with that game. But pulling the Lauris GB803 game, or yeah, GB803, we're actually playing against Narukami here, which is, you know, pretty much been the life of Cardfight area for the past few weeks. Like, everyone's using Narukami, even though like I was freaking out about it at first. Like, the more and more I fight it, the more and more I realize it's not like the strongest deck. But we are able to call some cards, get a little early pressure off here, and we do crit him as well, putting him to 4 damage early. He attacks into our Vito, which is great because otherwise it was just going to be left there for Vanquisher skill. So we do ride and stride. We use a Kare to bounce and call, and then we call for Harmony. We attack for 13. Use the skill to bounce and call another crit trigger. We used both of the crit triggers because we knew that he wasn't going to pretty much let our attack hit. So we just figured we should get some advantage off of it while we can, and also clear our field at the same time. He does go into the Voltec Zapper here, and then he uses his starter to make us bind as well. He draws a card with Fatine, and then we no guard its Vanguard. He checks double critical. So I was like, whoa. What a sack. So he does that, and then I also take Shatura as well, healing 1 off. He did not use Shatura's skill, however, which is like kind of weird, to be honest. But I use Lauris to bounce 2 cards. I use Amelia to counterbounce 1 draw card, and then I go for some more multi-attacks. So I make everything harmony, and then I attack him for 2 crit. He no guards this one, which I was like, are you sure, you know, because it has 2 critical, and he said I have no PG. So I didn't realize that his hand was so fake, and that's like a thing with like a lot of Narukami decks, is that they're really lacking in hand, so they're not able to push ahead as they would have. Like, if you can see my hand, like I have a PG left, I have a G guard left, like I'm pretty solid on defense right now, but he doesn't draw a lot of cards being Narukami, so, you know, he, whenever something happens to him where it's like early aggression, it's like too much aggression, he's just forced to take the loss. But yeah, that has been the Lauris GB8 deck. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry it took so long for this to get out, and I promise that all the videos will come faster after this. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Make sure you check out the Patreon. Really trying to grow the Cardfight Empire community on our Discord. Be one big happy Cardfight family, I guess. But yeah, with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.